A work of artistic craftsmanship is not defined in the Copyright Act. The decision in Coogee Australia Proprietary Limited and High Sport International Proprietary Limited has given some indication of the requirements of protecting such work. So let's take a look at the facts. Coogee was the designer and the manufacturer of machine-knitted fabrics and garments made up from its fabrics. The company made and designed distinctive sweaters which they described as a unique piece of wearable art. One of their fabrics, manufactured by Coogee, embodied a design described as its XYZ design. Coogee's competitor High Sport produced garments made from fabric that was similar in stitch structure to the XYZ fabric. Coogee alleged that High Sport had infringed its copyright in an artistic form. Coogee used the argument that the fabric was of artistic work for the purposes of sections 31 and 32 of the Copyright Act, because it was a work of artistic craftsmanship within the definition of artistic work in section 10 of the Act. Given there is no definition of artistic craftsmanship in the Act, Justice Drummond, in the Coogee case, relied on current authority to make his decision. According to Lord Simon in the Henshaw case, the phrase works of artistic craftsmanship is a composite phrase that must be construed as a whole. Let's take a look at the issues. A substantial argument by High Sport against Coogee's claim that its XYZ fabric is a work of artistic craftsmanship turns on the proposition that Coogee's design effort was directed entirely to setting up a system for mass production. They argued that the product of such a process is the antithesis of a work of artistic craftsmanship. Copyright only subsists pursuant to section 32 of the Act in an original work of which the author was a qualified person when the work was made. Justice Drummond held at most that Coogee could have copyright only in the portion of the first roll of fabric. It cannot sustain its claim to copyright in every length of fabric bearing the XYZ design. Mass production aside, Justice Drummond decided to look at whether the first roll of fabric could be considered a work of artistic craftsmanship. In making his decision, Justice Drummond notes that current authority supports a number of propositions. Let's see how these propositions helped Coogee. Justice Drummond argues that a work of artistic craftsmanship should not be confined to works of handmade objects. It will be enough to constitute a work of artistic craftsmanship if the two criteria of craftsmanship and aesthetic quality are met. So does the XYZ fabric have artistic quality? Justice Drummond, along with three other experts, all agreed that the fabric did indeed have aesthetic quality. Following this, it was important to determine whether the work was done by a craftsman. Mr. Walker was part of the team who designed the fabric. Justice Drummond described Mr. Walker as skilled in textile machine operation and knowledgeable in the material properties of textiles. Therefore, according to Justice Drummond, he was entitled to be described as a craftsman and the product of his work a work of artistic craftsmanship. The two criteria of craftsmanship and aesthetic quality have been met. Justice Drummond held that the first run of the XYZ fabric is a work of artistic craftsmanship for the purposes of the Copyright Act. Even though the purpose of this design was to be mass-produced, Justice Drummond held that the first roll of fabric could be a work of artistic craftsmanship, given that it was made by a craftsman and it was of aesthetic quality. This case has shown that a work of artistic craftsmanship must be made by someone skilled and knowledgeable and must be appealing. The decision in the Coogee case helped give some clarity as to what is required for something to be a work of artistic craftsmanship. Basically, the work must be of artistic quality, and the work done must be done at the hand of an artistic craftsman who is skilled and knowledgeable in his field of work.